Hello and welcome back. We have a new day and we also have a new video where we're going to focus on version 2 of my personal website. What I did just a few minutes ago was I deleted all the old stuff from version 1. So you can see the repository is now empty basically. There is very little in here. All the existing code is gone. That was the point. We want to start from scratch and we want to do one step at a time, record it in the video and share with everybody. So the other thing I did is I upgraded the package.json version to nicely reflect what we are working on right now. If we look in the console, you can see that I'm on version 2.0 on the version 2.0 branch. This is, as we discussed, our baseline branch for any of the work we're doing here. What I'm going to do now is, first of all, heading over to GitHub, where we're looking at the project. And one thing I did just a minute ago is I created a new issue where I'm just going to cover what we want to do. So we want to prepare the monorepo and create the website service. I'll walk you through what I mean by service in a minute. So we're going to flip that over into in progress. And with that, we are now ready to create a branch. So git switch -c for create. We said that we're going to use v2 as a naming convention, a prefix for anything related to version 2. So prepare monorepo and create website service, something meaningful that other people who look at the repository know what is happening in this branch. Excellent. Now, I'm mentioning monorepo, and that's a personal choice that I made. Well, you could easily create multiple repositories if you had multiple services. I don't know at the moment if I'm going to need multiple services, but thinking back about version 1 of the website, I had about 6 or so different services that all related to the website. So I'm going to just create that now. One difference is that in the previous version, I used a tool called Learner. So Learner.js, this was called. And it's a tool to manage JavaScript projects. Now, I only used that tool to do one thing, and that was that at the root of my project, I could create a script that would then install all the npm modules for all my services, build everything, and prepare everything. Now, Learner can do a lot more than that, and it's used by like Babel and other online JavaScript open source tools. So I really don't need it. There's ways around that we can build by ourselves. So we're gonna drop that and not use it for now. What we are going to do though is still have multiple services. So to start with, I want to create a folder called services. And this is where we're going to add the website to start with, and potentially other things as we go forward further. Now, in order to create a Sapper project, let's head over to the Sapper website. Sapper Svelte Def. If you're not familiar with that, I recommend you have a look and get yourself familiar with. It's basically a framework an application framework that is powered by Svelte, and we'll look at that Svelte in just a minute as well, to build applications, and then also lets us create static applications with client-side routing and single-page application behavior once it's downloaded to the browser. So Sapper is the framework to build that. It uses Svelte, which is a newer JavaScript framework that is very different to what you're probably used to. You may know React, you may know Vue, Angular. All these frameworks, they use what is called a virtual DOM, where they have your code and you tell them, I want my code to look like this. And then the framework basically looks at the difference between what you want and what's currently on the website in the DOM, And then it has this virtual DOM in between where they're mapping between your code and the DOM what needs to be updated. Now, this comes with a little bit of an overhead in terms of performance and downloading JavaScript to the browser. As you can see here in the middle, Svelte has no virtual DOM. It is taking a different approach. I don't want to go into too much detail here. You can look at the website. It helps you get an idea of what it does. But going back to Sapper, let's look at how we can start up. So we're going to use rollup. We're going to npx digit this template, and then we're going to give it a name. So we copy that, and we want this new service to live in the previously created services folder. So we change our directory to that, and now we can paste that, and we're going to call this service website. So this is probably going to work. It does work. So now we have services, website, and then here's the template that was cloned basically when we ran that command up here. Okay, we will look at all that in detail. This is a very basic Sapper project. There's a source folder that's important and a routes directory where you have an index page and a few samples basically of a little blog and a couple pages. What we want to do now is basically add that directory to Git, track everything, commit it just as a first commit, saying that, we added a template, good starting point. So git add all of this and git commit, and then we want to say add Sapper template just for now, and we are on the correct branch. Good, excellent. Now let me show you real quick what happens and how this all works. I want to do a 5-minute overview of Sapper. If you already know Sapper, feel free to fast forward this part. So in the website directory, we can do npm install. That's going to fetch all the dependencies that the website needs. So there's a package.json file here specifically for the website, the Sapper application. There's a few dev dependencies and 3 runtime dependencies. Okay, good. Next up, we can do npm run def. You see this is defined here. It just runs Sapper def. So we'll do that. It opens port 10,000. We don't need that. It also opens port 3000. This is where the server is listening. So you can open that in a browser. And we now see the index page that lives in the source code under source routes index.svelte. Couple things to note specific to Svelte. So you see that the Svelte file itself has a style that is local to that component only. So none of the code you put in here bleeds outside of the component. There's a head for HTML where we set the title, and then we have the HTML down here. Great success. We have a picture and a bit of text, and you can see this basically here rendered just like that. Up here we have a page called About and Blog. This maps to the pages About here. And under blog, we have an index.svelte, which represents the blog. There's a little bit of JavaScript to fetch the blog posts. We'll not worry about that at the moment because we're going to delete that in just about a minute. Okay, so that's cool. We can run that. We can test our code. If we make any changes, that's reflected on the website. The next thing we want to do is stop that server and delete all that boilerplate, all these boilerplate files that we don't really need before we then can add our own code. So the first thing we don't need is the blog. So we can delete all that. We don't need any of this. We don't need an about page at the moment. And then also in the layout, this is basically used on all the pages. You can see that we import the navigation from the components. So we are going to basically, we're going to drop all of this. And we're just going to keep the main HTML element with a slot which gets replaced at runtime with the different page that we're on. Now with that in mind, we also have to delete the nav svelte because we don't need that anymore. Excellent. Good. Let's do there's a bunch of stuff we changed. We're going to add all that and git commit remove Sapper boilerplate files. Excellent. Good. That's neat. So first starting point, we can now add our own text and our own content. So we are going to remove that style for now. I could probably done it in the previous commit. And the title, we're going to change that for now. This is Mike's personal website. We'll go into a lot more detail when we look at SEO, search engine optimization, and all that. We'll clean all this up. Welcome to Mike's website v2.0. We don't have a picture, and we also don't have anything below. Well, maybe we can do a. This is. Something like that. Cool. So the other thing I want to quickly mention is that static directory. You notice there was the image here. So this is stored under the static directory. There's also the favicon, a global CSS file. We'll look at that in a minute. Some logos mainly used for the progressive web app that's generated automatically. And the success kit is down here. So we don't need that anymore. We'll drop this as well. All right. And let's do another commit here. Oops. Add new homepage content. Okay, good. That's a pretty good start. Now, I want to do one more thing. If we collapse some of that stuff here, imagine somebody pulls down your repository or this repository, especially important when you, for example, have continuous integration in place. You don't want to manually go into each of your services, currently just one, but there will be more later. You don't want to go into each of your services and manually run npm install in order to make this work. So what we can do is just add a little script basically to the top package.json in the root. We're going to call this install and then services website, for example. Doesn't really matter. I like to, I like to use boring names and more descriptive so that anybody looking at the code immediately understands what's going on. So when this script is called, we want to do npm install prefix services/web. So now what we can do is from the root directory, if we go back up here, I can say npm run this command. And what that does is it runs npm install with the prefix services web and installs our dependencies. Now, there's nothing to install because we just did that a minute ago. And there's a bunch of warnings that are in the website package.json here. So we can probably fix that to just be safe. This is the website, something like that, to get rid of that. Excellent. Now, that's good. So we can now run it from the root, but we can also go a step further and automatically install these dependencies when we run npm install at the root. The way to do that is to add another script here that is called post install. So this is an npm concept that install, npm install. Post is automatically executed once the install is complete. So what we want to do in that case is npm run that website. Okay, so now if we do npm install or npm I at the root, we run that, you can see it ran npm install at the top, and then it ran our script, which in turn installed the dependencies on the services web. Cool. Probably not a good time to commit all that. What do we do here? Install automatically. Install services dependencies automatically. Good. So we should be clean. Nice. So with that, we have the foundation set for that project. Eventually, we'll go deeper into that and clean this here out. Or actually, we could clean it up right now. So let me show you. There's a tool where we can clean this up. The first thing I want to point out, obviously, if we add a new service to our project, then we would have to add a new line here with the new service name. And we have to update this script by saying and npm run the new installation script. We don't actually want to do that. That's a bit too much work. We want to make this a lot simpler. So I know for a fact that the Sapper template comes with a tool called npm run all. And I'm going to show you how this works. So we're going to take npm run all, and we're going to install this at the root level as a def dependency. We don't need that at runtime. Npm run all. Okay, excellent. Now you can look that up on their website, but basically what it allows us to do is it allows us to run scripts, npm scripts in sequence or in parallel, and we also can use wildcard characters to specify what to run. So in our case, I believe it is run -p for parallel services website. That would just run one, but we could run all the service installation scripts in parallel. So let's see what happens. If we go here and we say npm install, excellent. You see the same output as before. It's running npm install services star, which then finds our website. So it kicks that off. And if we had another service, actually, hang on a minute. We had a little bug there. All right. Interesting. That didn't even throw a warning when we had a prefix of a folder that didn't exist. Well, interesting. So if we had another service here, service number 2, and let's just make this simple here and say echo service 2 install. And now if we run npm install again, let's clear this up, make some spaces here. If we do that again, you can see, if we start at the top, it ran our parallel script. The first thing it did was the echo service 2 install. So it's not in order because we had -p for parallel. So it ran that, and then it ran the website installation script here, and that then installed the dependencies for the website. So all we need to do now is when we add a new service is basically just add a new line here with the installation script that we have up here. And that'll then help us, speed up our installation of all the npm packages in parallel for all the services. Okay, with that in mind, what's happening here? So we did, okay, git commit, fix installation script, and use npm use run p to install services in parallel. So we're going to push this up to GitHub. There we go. Excellent. Good. So this gives us a good foundation for what we eventually want to do, which is building more of the features. So if we head over back here and we go to the code, it should give us a new notification. So one thing you notice is that version 2 shows up as well. That's just because the master branch is our default branch. So GitHub thinks that, well, rightly so, there's 2 branches that could be merged. In our case, we only want to merge or create a PR for the one we just created. So we compare and create a pull request. Important is that we switch this to v2. We could, I guess, change the default branch to v2 and then this wouldn't happen, but for now, I think this is okay. And what we want to say here is fixes 143, prepare the monorepo and create website. Excellent. We're going to create that. Actually, hang on. We're not going to add it for now. Let's just create a pull request. Good. So we added a bunch of files and we have a PR. It's going into v2. So let's merge that for now. It's going to delete our branch. And if we switch over to the project, over v2, we should now see no. Interesting. I guess I don't know exactly how this is. I thought if we mentioned it, okay. I thought if we mention the issue in here, this pull request closes. Okay, if somebody knows why this didn't happen, then, please let me know in the comments. Interesting. What we can do then, let's try this manually. If we go back to projects, that's the first time I'm using GitHub projects. So pretty sure that used to work. Probably missed something there, but that is now marked as done. And we merged our pull request. So with that, we're going to leave it at that for now. I'm going to come back very soon, and we are going to pick the next card or the next issue here to continue the progress of the version 2 website. Excellent. Thanks very much. And remember to subscribe and leave your comments if you have any thoughts or feedback. And I'll be back soon with the next video. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.